All she talked about was tombs, which made the old man very wary. However, officially, Miss Li Zhu did leave the village by hitchhiking, but in reality, she circled back and snuck back in. And this time, she brought a male companion with her. At this moment, they had a huge stove in front of them, and it was bubbling and steaming. The water in the stove was taken from a nearby river in the countryside, but after boiling it so many times, they hadn't found any useful clues. Just when they were feeling frustrated, Li Zhu's phone suddenly rang. It was Jing Dian calling. She quickly put on a happy tone and greeted him. After some brief teasing, Jing Dian asked if she was still in the county. To avoid suspicion, Li Zhu quickly made up a lie, saying she had returned to America. Jing Dian didn't mind, but told her the reason for his call when she heard about a hidden treasure code in the mountains. Li Zhu became immediately interested. Then, Jing Dian handed the phone to Si Yan to read the poem to Li Zhu. However, hearing these four lines that weren't even like a poem and were just a strange code, Li Zhu was puzzled too. Jing Dian, on his end, anxiously grabbed the phone back and told Li Zhu if she could decipher the code, she'd get a share when they found the treasure. Hearing that, Li Zhu was amused and annoyed. However, she still, based on her understanding, gave her analysis. That was the character Jing at the beginning of the code. Though she didn't understand the meaning, but just looking at the character, it could be broken down, seen as three suns. But in reality, three suns can't happen. So, could this be related to Yuan Lake at a specific time and place, like the three moons that appear in Yuan Lake? Hearing this, Jing Dian suddenly understood and excitedly praised Li Zhu repeatedly. At the same time, he also mentioned his friends. Analysis of the King Shigu blue stone drum. Hearing King Shigu, Li Zhu paused, surprised. She asked Jing Dian if he had time later to take a picture of the stone and send it over so she could help analyze it further. Then she found an excuse and hung up. At this moment, Li Zhu felt complicated. She couldn't believe that in this small mountain village, there were so many secrets. The young man next to her looked puzzled. Did Li Zhu have some new progress? Actually, it wasn't really progress, because a few days prior, Li Zhu had gone to the county library. She'd found a record there, saying that Xia Li village wasn't always called that, but was called King Shibu Blue Stone Wharf. So, she thought, the name change was probably to hide some secret. But with this progress, it was thanks to Jing Dian and their timely help. Back with Jing Dian, who had been hung up on, his friends were already shouting excitedly. They hadn't expected. The archaeologist Jing Dian mentioned actually knew something. Jing Dian was a bit smug, even though that lady seemed to be looking for tombs everywhere. What they were doing was kind of similar, but the difference was they were looking for loot hidden by the bandit leader, Liu Haiki. So it wasn't really bad, right? Speaking of that lady, actually, his friends had met her once. Interestingly, that lady was really generous. Their family had just given her a few meals, and she'd given them a brand new phone. She was a really good person. When they heard new phone, his friends acted like they'd seen a rare treasure and crowded around Jing Dian to grab it again. However, Jing Dian pulled his old trick again and shoved the phone in his mouth. This time, it really grossed out his friends. They wordlessly headed home, but the next morning, they gathered again and ran out. This time, they went to the big blue stone. As agreed, they were going to take a picture of the stone and send it to Li Zhu. Just thinking about the name Shigu stone drum, Jing Dian was a bit confused. He pounded it with his fist. but couldn't hear anything. His friend saw this and quickly told him to stop, saying there was a belief about the King Shi Gu that you shouldn't step on it. Stepping on it was like stepping on their ancestors' backs and would bring heavenly punishment. Jing Dian rolled his eyes. Who would step on such a big stone for no reason? Are they crazy? Then he looked up at the sun, but didn't see any three suns. So he took a 360-degree video of the blue stone. Si Yen kindly pointed out that with the time difference, it was still night in America, and sending it now would wake the expert up. But Jing Dian didn't care, and sent it right away. Oddly enough, soon after, Li Zhu replied. She said the stone wasn't anything special, just a rock that had rolled down from the mountain. Then Li Zhu asked if they were on a riverbank. Jing Dian quickly denied it, saying they were halfway up the mountain. Even with heavy rain, it couldn't become a riverbank. Hearing this, Li Zhu got curious, because under the blue stone were small, uniformly sized pebbles. That was strange. Hearing that, Jing Dian grabbed a handful of pebbles and sent her a close-up. Li Zhu analyzed it right away and said it was crushed granite. Combined with their location, she deduced it was a feng shui spot. In other words, there was probably a big tomb there, and the pebbles were sealing soil for tomb raiding prevention. When he heard tomb, Jing Dian immediately balked. Seriously? Dig up a tomb? His grandpa would skin him alive if he found out. Li Zhu laughed out loud. She said it wasn't tomb raiding, but teaching them some archaeology. Then she asked Jing Dian to chip off a piece of the blue stone and look at the cross-section to help analyze it further. Jing Dian was really shocked now. Why was this lady making such a big deal out of it? Just stepping on the stone was like disrespecting their ancestors. If they chipped off a piece, did she even know the consequences? Hearing this, Li Zhu didn't understand. Jing Dian didn't care if she understood, and hung up. Because of Li Zhu's idea, he didn't dare think about it. But now that they had no leads, they'd have to rethink the treasure hunt. With that, they decided to go home. Of course, Zhao Dian also suggested everyone to take a swim in the reservoir on the way, just to cool off for a bit. Since Jing Dian and the others declined Miss Li Zhu's suggestion, the treasure hunt plan had made no progress, and then it was gradually put aside. Of course, the phone Miss Li Zhu gave them was fully utilized by Jing Dian. Not only did he secretly download some pesticide app against instructions, but he also gamed with his friends under the streetlights. However, just as they were in the middle of their game, an older man from another village suddenly came over to ask for directions. Upon hearing that this person was looking for Master Dian San, the children were all stunned, because generally speaking, outsiders seeking out Master Dian San mostly meant they had encountered problems that couldn't be solved by ordinary means, especially when it was a visit in the dark like this. Helplessly, Jing Dian had no choice but to personally lead the older man back home. It turned out that this older man was from Dingjia village in the west. He had a 7-year-old daughter named Kaiyan. That girl went out to play after breakfast early in the morning and hadn't returned even by nightfall. The family had searched for a long time but couldn't find her. So, reminded by a neighbor, they wanted to ask Master Dian San to divine her whereabouts. Upon hearing that it was about a missing child, Master Dian San also became a bit nervous. Didn't they ask the police station for help? Unexpectedly, the older man shook his head repeatedly, because according to the news from the police station, 3 children had gone missing in the entire town today, and from different villages. The police station had also sent people to help, but still to no avail. So, as a last resort, he came to find Master Dian San. Hearing this, Master Dian San frowned. He didn't chat further, but directly asked the older man if he had brought anything that the girl had used. Upon hearing this, the older man hurriedly started to rummage through his pockets, because before coming, an experienced neighbor had specifically reminded him what he brought was a comb. That was the comb her mother always used to comb her hair. The old man nodded. He found a strand of hair stuck between the teeth of the comb. He carefully took it out. Then he instructed Jing Dian to fetch a bowl of well water. After confirming the girl's name, the old man threw the strand of hair into the bowl. Then he began to chant an incantation. He stretched out his hand and pressed down lightly above the bowl. In an instant, the strand of hair stood straight up, as if it had been electrocuted. Seeing this scene, the older man was so frightened that he jumped to his feet, but the old man reassured him, saying that judging from the hair's reaction, his daughter was not in mortal danger. Hearing this, the older man finally breathed a sigh of relief. He rubbed his hands together, hoping Master Dian San would take the trouble to help divine the girl's location as well. The old man didn't refuse, but directly took out a piece of yellow paper and asked for the girl's birth date and time, and wrote them in for squares. Then he asked the man to put a blood fingerprint in the circle in the middle of the yellow paper. Hearing this, the older man naturally did so quickly. However, this method of finding people was not suitable for onlookers, so the old man politely persuaded the older man to go back, telling him to go back and wait for news. The older man nodded repeatedly upon hearing this, and handed over a red envelope, saying it was for Master Dian San to buy wine. Master Dian San shook his head, saying he would only accept gifts when curing diseases and warding off disasters. But when it concerned human life, he would not take a penny. After seeing the man off, Master Dian San directly closed the courtyard door and bolted it, even closing the main room door tightly, because he was preparing to use this strand of hair to summon the spirit to possess someone. Of course, this kind of soul summoning was only to summon the girl's Jew soul, one of her 3 souls, in order to locate her position. Unexpectedly, Jing Dian, with his loose tongue, actually asked, "Whose body are you planning to possess with this soul summoning?" Upon hearing this, the old man was immediately so angry that he glared and puffed his beard. He said, "If not your body, whose else would it be? Unlike you, I don't have Gu Gua in my body." Jing Dian, who had been scolded, reluctantly took off his shirt with a pout. After Jing Dian sat down, the old man lit an incense stick under the yellow paper with the birth date and time written on it. Before long, the area with the blood fingerprint was scorched with a large hole. Then the old man gestured to Jing Dian, telling him to press the yellow paper against his heart, preparing to call upon Gu Gua to go to work. Jing Dian kept pouting and mumbling, because this kind of task with no location or distance to the target, even Gu Gua was not very willing to search for. But under the current circumstances, he had no choice but to obey and do as told. Something big is wrong with this mountain village. In just over half a month, 7 or 8 shocking and bizarre things have happened around here. And today, 3 children have gone missing in a row, and from different villages. These increasingly frequent and serious incidents made Master Dian San's heart even more uneasy. At this moment, he had agreed to something, to help a family in a neighboring village divine the location of their daughter. So Gu Gua inside Jing Dian's body came in handy. But strangely, in the sensation relayed back by Gu Gua, Jing Dian found that the girl's 3 souls were extremely weak, not even half as strong as a normal person's. Master Dian San was a little surprised. He quickly instructed him not to call out to the girl, but to only rely on Gu Gua's power, to look at the surrounding environment through the girl's eyes. Jing Dian agreed, and again he gripped the yellow paper with the birth date and time in his hand. However, as soon as he activated it, he was instantly knocked over by a strange force coming from nowhere. Master Dian San was shocked and alarmed. He quickly helped Jing Dian up and anxiously asked him what had happened. Seeing that Jing Dian couldn't speak, the old man gritted his teeth and directly tore off the yellow paper. Only then did Jing Dian suddenly sit up. He shouted with lingering fear. That feeling almost froze me to death. Amidst Master Dian San's questioning, Jing Dian told him that the little girl was ice cold all over. You know, it's the middle of summer now. How could such a thing happen? Then he described an even more bizarre, strange thing, which was that as soon as Gugua's power was activated, it was forcibly interrupted by some external force. The old man frowned upon hearing this. Didn't you see anything visually either? Hearing this, Jing Dian didn't know how to describe it, because the visual information he obtained was even more ridiculously scarce. He felt that the little girl seemed to be constantly looking up at the sky, or was just lying on her back the whole time, and her eyes seemed to have never just stared blankly at the moon. And that was secondary. More importantly, the moon that the girl saw was blood red. Upon hearing this, Master Dian San's eyes immediately widened. He slowly stood up, his expression suggesting that he had discovered something extremely terrifying. Then, without a word, he opened a wooden box hidden in a dark place and locked several times. Inside was a patterned jade pendant. Jing Dian recognized this jade pendant because this was exactly that rare treasure he had nicknamed Yellow-Faced Monkey. Normally, his grandpa wouldn't even let him touch it. Master Dian San didn't explain, but told him to remember carefully what he was about to say, which was, he wanted Jing Dian to go to the town police station right now, and he must hold the yellow-faced monkey tightly on the way and not let go, and not talk to anyone. When he arrived at the police station, he should say he was lost and couldn't find his way home. Then find a way to stay there for the night, and no matter what, do not leave, if before dawn. He went to the police station to find Jing Dian, and if this yellow-faced monkey doll hasn't changed color, then it means everything is all right. If Jing Dian waits until dawn and Jing Dian still hasn't come looking for him, and if the yellow-faced monkey doll's face has turned blue, then don't linger. Go straight to Yangshuang Market to watch the blacksmiths work. By then, Jing Dian just needs to watch out for the usual mute beggar Zheng at the market. See if he approaches Jing Dian first. If he does, and if he's muttering something, then listen carefully. Listen to whether the mute is saying Zhou Shi Kuan. If it is, then keep quiet and just follow the mute. Someone will naturally meet up with him then. After saying so much in one go, Jing Dian was already confused. Although he had memorized it, he was still startled by his grandfather's demeanor. He was a little worried, wondering if something terrible had happened here. However, Grandpa didn't explain, but pressed the yellow-faced monkey doll into Jing Dian's arms, then patted Jing Dian's head again, as if to add some extra protection for him. Then, the old man suddenly pushed Jing Dian out. He told Jing Dian to leave right now, and not to miss the time. Full of doubts, Jing Dian asked Grandpa again with worry if he was in some kind of trouble, but Grandpa Dian San still didn't want to say more, and kept urging him to leave quickly, and said that as long as Jing Dian did as he was told, he would be helping Grandpa a lot. Helplessly, Jing Dian had no choice but to run out as told. Before long, he disappeared into the night. On the other side, the old man silently closed the door. He placed the two paper figures neatly on the bed, and then turned off the lights, because he also had to go out. Before leaving, the old man stared blankly ahead, as if sensing something. After a moment, he suddenly turned around, and plunged into the night. Unexpectedly, the disappearance of children from 3 different villages on the same day was actually related to a blood red moon. Grandpa Dian San was shocked to his feet upon hearing this news, and even unusually asked Jing Dian to leave the village overnight, to stay at the town's police station. This rare action made Jing Dian a little worried. He could feel a hint of fear on his grandfather's face. So when Jing Dian left in a hurry, the old man also plunged into the darkness. Tonight is another full moon night. The old man knew what Jing Dian meant by the blood red moon, and also knew where to find it. Therefore, he groped his way to the vicinity of a large blue stone. If Jing Dian saw this stone, then he would definitely remember that this was exactly what they had recently specially investigated the blue stone drum. However, Grandpa Dian San frowned at this moment, because he had come following the clues of the blood moon. But why was there such tranquility before him? Could it be that there are other places where a red moon could also be seen tonight? Feeling something was wrong, the old man carefully sensed around and instantly discovered something strange, because the aura of a big tree not far away was abnormal, actually emitting waves of cold and eerie air. The old man looked closely and then realized that a piece of bark had been shaved off the tree trunk. There seemed to be some ghostly scribbles on it. Seeing this, Grandpa Dian San was suddenly shocked, because he already knew this was a node of an array. As expected, before long, he found in the nearby bushes a terrifying wooden stake. If he was not mistaken, this was indeed a puppet for anchoring the array. However, this type of puppet, even the well-informed old man found it a bit unfamiliar. Fortunately, the methods of breaking arrays are often similar in general principles. He saw the old man grab the puppet's head and directly gave it a 180-degree turn. The next moment, an anomaly appeared on the blue stone drum. It really was a trick. The old man ignored the array node and instead looked towards the large blue stone. However, when he clearly saw the person standing on it, his face suddenly turned gloomy. It was actually her. This girl clearly seemed to have left the village, but unexpectedly, she had secretly hidden herself. Thinking about it, the old man suddenly saw 3 figures lying on the blue stone. These aren't the 3 missing children, are they? The old man, shocked and horrified, was about to step forward. But then, he noticed Li Zhu suddenly looking at the moon. Grandpa Dian San paused and followed her gaze to take a look. This look also made him guess Li Zhu's plan. This woman was probably waiting for the moment the moon turned red. Thinking of this, the old man couldn't hold back any longer. He directly took out the demon-subduing pestle and rushed out in one stride. At this moment, the old man was furious. He shouted loudly at Li Zhu from afar, telling her to get down quickly. "You girl, you really came with bad intentions. If you let those 3 children come to any harm, I will skin you alive." The sudden appearance of Grandpa Dian San caught Li Zhu a bit off guard. She screamed at the old man, telling him not to be impulsive. But in the next moment, Li Zhu looked behind the old man again, shouting not to kill him. The old man was immediately startled and quickly turned his head, and immediately saw a man in black descending from the sky, wielding an iron ruler and striking straight down. Fortunately, the old man's demon-subduing pestle was not just for show. He directly held it horizontally in front of him, not only blocking the iron ruler, but also using the force to throw the man in black out. But he didn't expect that the man in black didn't even take a breath, and attacked again in the blink of an eye. Force 2. The old man had no choice but to counterattack. After a fierce exchange, the 2 finally separated by a zhang's distance and faced each other. And Li Zhu's voice was almost hoarse at this moment. She shouted at the 2 of them with a panicked expression. "Stop it. Don't fight anymore. At this time, the old man was panting heavily. He didn't expect the man in black before him to be able to hide his killing intent and follow him from behind. And his strength was surprisingly great. He was quite skilled. However, Grandpa Dian San increasingly felt that the figure in front of him looked somewhat familiar. Suddenly, the old man hesitantly called out, "Teacher Zhang, that woman is back again. This time she even kidnapped 3 children." Grandpa Dian San was furious. He didn't expect Li Zhu to be so persistent. She pretended to leave on the surface, but secretly sneaked back again. But just as he was about to step forward to subdue Li Zhu, a strange man in black suddenly sprang out from behind him. The man wielded an iron ruler with incredible strength. After a few rounds of attacks, the old man's right hand was numb from the shock. However, even though he was wearing black and a mask, Grandpa Dian San still recognized his origin. It was the young college student teaching in the village teacher, Shang. Sure enough, after hearing the old man expose him face to face, the man in black clearly paused for a moment and then helplessly took off his mask, directly saying that the old man had sharp eyes. But now was not the time for interrogation, because there were still 3 children in danger. So the old man immediately questioned, "What evil are you trying to do?" Hearing this, Teacher Zhang sighed. He looked at Li Zhu on the bluestone and called out, "Senior," asking how to answer. He saw Li Zhu break into a smile, advising the old man not to misunderstand. She said that her trip here was only to study Feng Shui. Upon hearing this, the old man immediately burst into curses. "Bullshit. What are you holding those 3 kids for?" Li Zhu didn't mind, but said faintly that she suspected there was an ancient curse in this place and wanted to help break it tonight. This bullshit explanation made the old man fly into a rage. He immediately berated her and told her to get down now. But Li Zhu didn't care at all. Instead, she turned her head to look at the moon in the sky. Then, she asked Master Dian if he had heard of a secret code. It's called Crystal Character Sky Lantern Illuminates Stone Drum. Stone drum rumbles, ghosts know the way. The old man was shocked to hear this. Fine beads of sweat actually oozed from his forehead. It seemed that he knew this secret code. But just then, the 3rd moon appeared in the sky, just like the other 2. It was carrying a crimson color. Li Zhu knew. The next step was to wait for the 3 moons to become the same size. Teacher Zhao Zhang on the side seemed to be asking the obvious. He raised his voice and asked loudly, "Senior, what are you talking about? Where did 3 moons come from in the sky?" And Li Zhu's answer also seemed to be meaningful. She said this was a scene that could not be seen from other locations. After saying this, she looked at Master Dian again. "This secret, Master, you've known it for a long time, right?" To this, the old man remained silent. Instead, he stared at her coldly. Li Zhu was not surprised. Instead, she sighed meaningfully. This land is really interesting. Whether it's place names or legends, everything is layered in disguise. It's like a carefully arranged chess game. As for the 3 moon shadows on Yuan Lake, I guess they are also part of the illusion. The old man still didn't say a word, but there was already a hint of anger in his eyes. But Teacher Zhao Zhang on the side asked loudly again, "Ah, is there nothing real in Yuan Lake? It really made me go through a lot of trouble for nothing." After hearing this, the old man finally couldn't bear it anymore. He advised Li Zhu to have off for this land, and not to start blindly pondering based on a casually heard old saying. But Li Zhu not only didn't take it seriously, but instead became excited. She said that after this pondering, she found that this old saying was becoming more and more reliable, because she discovered that the character Jing also has another variant form, which is composed of 3 moon characters. After speaking, she looked again at the 3 blood moons in the sky, and said, "This all makes sense." Then she asked Master Dian somewhat triumphantly, "Do you want to hear about my research results on this large blue stone?" Of course, Teacher Xiao Zhang interrupted again. He smiled and asked, "Is this kind of secret also to be told?" Smiling and asked, "Is this kind of secret also to be told?" Li Zhu pretended not to hear. She directly brought out the second half of the old saying from the County Chronicle. "Stone drum rumbles, ghosts know the way." Can the meaning of this sentence be understood as, the blue stone drum will make a sound at a specific time, thereby leading out the ghosts from hell? In other words, this large blue stone is the gateway between yin and yang, the gate of hell. The old man listened quietly, still remained silent. Li Zhu smiled and said that she had also heard another version, called, "Divine Dragon opens its eyes to bless the earth." And this sentence seems to describe the stone as an auspicious object similar to a dragon vein. Of course, this sentence was told to her by Jing Dian. Hearing this, the old man immediately became uneasy. He didn't expect that this sentence could actually be spread from Jing Dian's mouth. Seeing Master Dian's shocked expression, Li Zhu laughed even more charmingly. She also added, "This is a little secret among Jing Dian and his friends." And Master Dian listened with an even angrier face. In his heart, he had already cursed this naughty child countless times. But now is not the time to consider these things. The old man asked angrily, "What exactly do you want to do?" This time Li Zhu didn't beat around the bush anymore. She directly stated her purpose, which is to use these three children to test whether this large blue stone is righteous or evil. Master Dian frowned. "What means are you going to use to test?" But Li Zhu didn't explain anymore at this moment. Instead, she told the old man to be calm and not impatient. Just wait for the moons in the sky to complete their alignment, and the result will be revealed. And now it's just a little bit more away. Seeing Li Zhu turn around,